Today's lesson is all about idioms and expressions that you hear every day across the UK. And if you include them in your everyday English conversations, you'll sound like a native British speaker. As usual, there's a free guide that you can download in the description below. Let's do this. Our first expression is give someone an earful. To say this naturally, split it into two parts. The first part is said with a rising pitch, like this. Give someone. Try that. Give someone. And the second part is said with a falling pitch. An earful. So the whole thing is, give someone an earful. You try. This basically means to shout at someone, to let them know what you think of them and what they've done, without holding back. That man's just parked in my parking spot.
You stay here. I'm going to go and give him an earful.
Or,
when are you coming to bed? It's getting late.
I have to get this work finished, or my boss will give me an earful. This phrase is all about letting someone know that you're angry with them. So be careful where you park your car next time, or you might get an earful. That was a great expression, but this next one is so useful. Any road. Now you might think this is to do with asking for directions, but you'd be wrong. To say this naturally, we need a strong R sound because the R in road is followed by a vowel sound. Now to make a strong R sound, you need to push your lips forward. In English, we don't use our tongue to make the R sound. It's not road, it's road. Lips forward, road. You try. So our little phrase is any road. Now this phrase is used to take the place of the word anyway. Imagine you're telling your friend a long story. And then I went into the garden and saw the shed, and I went inside and...
Do you want a drink?
No thanks. Any road. What was I saying? Oh yes, I went into the shed. So you can see, it's just a cool and colourful different way of saying anyway.
We were late getting to the show, but any road, we had a great time.
It's casual, it's fun, and it adds a little bit of Britishness. And our next expression is bite your arm off. Before we learn what it means and how it's used, let's learn to say it like a native English speaker. And we do this by joining all of the words together. First, the TE from the end of bite and the Y from your join together and become a ch sound. So bite your becomes bite your. Bite your. Can you hear the ch sound? Bite your. You try. Next, we're going to move the R from the end of your to the front of the A in arm. So it becomes your arm. Your arm. And at a normal speed, your arm. So far, we've got bite your arm. You try. Bite your arm. And finally, we're going to move the M from the end of arm to the front of the O in off. So it becomes arm off. And at normal speed, arm off. The whole thing, bite your arm off. You try. Bite your arm off. Bite your arm off is used when someone is eager or desperate for something.
I bought these tickets for a concert and now I can't go. Do you want them?
I'll bite your arm off for those. You can see it's a funny way to express excitement, especially when you're offered something you really want. It can also be used to describe how someone else reacted.
I asked my husband if he wanted to have Sunday dinner with my parents.
He loves your mum's cooking. What did he say?
He said he'd bite my arm off to go.
So the next time someone offers you something amazing, you know what to say. And now for this one. Drop a clanger. To pronounce this correctly and naturally, change the a to a schwa sound. That's that little sound that's so common in English. And also use that sound for the er at the end of clanger. So it's not clanger, it's clanger. So the whole thing is drop a clanger. And at normal speed, drop a clanger. You try. Now to drop a clanger means to make an embarrassing mistake or to say something awkward without realising. For example, have you ever tried to put together flat pack furniture and it takes you about an hour, and when you've finished you find you've got 4 screws left over and the door on it doesn't quite shut properly? Then you've dropped a clanger.
Hi, I'm Kerry.
Hi, I'm Steve. Are you enjoying the party?
Not really. There are so many teachers here, and they are all so boring. What do you do?
I'm an English teacher.
Well, I've dropped a clanger there, haven't I?
This next one is a great English expression. If you use it, you'll sound like a native British speaker. Effing and blinding. To say this naturally, remembering that this is a very casual phrase, don't pronounce the G on either the effing, so it becomes effing, or blinding, so it becomes blinding. And the and is simply going to become n. So effing and blinding becomes effing and blinding. You try. Effing and blinding. If you're ever in a situation where someone is really angry and they're using lots and lots of bad language, you could describe them as effing and blinding. Because it's a way of describing that someone is swearing without swearing yourself. They're effing and blinding.
Why can't these bloody people learn how to bloody well drive, the bloody idiots?
I'm not getting in the car with you anymore. You're always effing and blinding. This phrase is a fun way to point out when someone is using bad language without you using it yourself. It really is a classic British phrase. And now for this one. Faffing around. And to say this naturally, you've got 2 choices. But in both of them, the a in around is changed to the schwa sound. So it's not a round, it's a round. Around. Try that. Around. And once you've done that, you can make one of these 2 choices. With the word faffing, you can either leave the G on the end, or you can take it off. If you leave it on, the whole phrase sounds stronger. Faffing around. If you take it off, faffing around. It doesn't sound quite as strong, quite as important. But whichever way you say it, it's a common British expression that means someone is wasting time and not getting something done. They're faffing around. How did your team do in today's match? They lost. They were faffing around instead of just scoring goals. Or
I can't sleep because of the noisy neighbours.
Right, I'm not faffing around. I'm going to go and tell them to be quiet. That was a great expression, but this next one is so useful. For crying out loud. To say this naturally, we can join the out and the loud together, because out ends in a T and loud starts in an L, and your tongue does the same action for both these sounds. T, L. Your tongue goes up, comes down. And when this happens, just don't say the first one of those letters. In this case, the T on out. So instead of out loud, it becomes out loud. Out loud. You try out loud. This is used as a way of showing you're annoyed without being too rude. For crying out loud.
What's the matter?
My computer's crashed for the third time today. Or, are you nearly ready yet? We're going to be late.
For crying out loud, will you stop asking me? I'll just be another minute.
So it's a way of showing you're annoyed without going too far. The next time you're frustrated or you're a little angry, try using that phrase, for crying out loud. And our next expression is horses for courses. But to say this like a native British speaker, reduce the for down so it sounds like f. So it's not horses for courses, it's horses for courses. Horses for courses. You try. Although originally this was used on a racetrack,
Some horses just run faster at some courses than others. That's horses for courses.
these days it means choosing the right person or option for a situation or a task. Like this. I love living in the city, but my brother loves living in the country. It's horses for courses, really. You can use it if someone criticises a situation because that situation doesn't fit their needs.
This YouTube channel is for people trying to improve their English. There are lots of other channels for absolute beginners, and they should choose one of those. It's a case of horses for courses.
Hopefully, you're the right horse for this course. And our next expression is, I'm not being funny, but I haven't got all day. To say this in fast, natural English, split it into two parts. Let's deal with the first part first. And the only change in this first part is we're not going to pronounce the T. It's silent. But what we are going to do is make what's left really strong and stand out. That's the word that we really want the listener to hear. So not becomes no. No. You try. So the first part of this phrase becomes, I'm not being funny. You try. I'm not being funny. And in the second part of the phrase, the only change we're going to make is by joining the got and the all together by moving the t sound from the end of got to the front of all. So it becomes got tall, got tall. And at normal speed, got all. So the second half is, I haven't got all day. You try. I haven't got all day. So the whole thing is, I'm not being funny, but I haven't got all day. Notice at the end, on that word day, my pitch goes down. Because I'm making a statement, a strong statement. And when that happens, our pitch goes down. I'm not being funny, but I haven't got all day. All day. I'm not being funny, but I haven't got all day. You try. Now this phrase is a long way of saying you're getting impatient and someone needs to hurry up. Imagine waiting to pay in a shop and the person in front of you is having a long chat with the sales assistant. That's when you'd use, "I'm not being funny, but I haven't got all day." I fancy going to an Indian restaurant for lunch, or maybe a Chinese would be nice.
I'm not being funny, but I haven't got all day. Can you just choose one?
This is a straightforward way of letting someone know you're in a hurry, you haven't got much time, and that they're delaying things too much. And now for this one, hunky-dory. And to say this correctly, you need to have a good H sound at the beginning. It's not unky-dory, it's hunky-dory. And to get that good British H sound, the easiest way is just to whisper the word, like this. Hunky, hunky. You try. Hunky. And now, as soon as you get to the U, bring your voice in, but start with a whisper. So it's hunky, hunky. And that is the perfect British H sound. Hunky-dory means that everything, and I mean everything, is going really well. Imagine you've been worrying about getting into work on time, and you go to the train station and the train arrives exactly when it should. And when you get on, you find the perfect seat by the window. In fact, you arrive at work a few minutes early. If someone asks how your journey was, you would say it was hunky-dory. How did you do in your interview? It went better than I could have hoped. To be honest, it was hunky-dory. But a warning, British people like to use irony. That is, they say something, but they mean the absolute opposite sometimes, because they think it's funny. Did you have a great time on your holiday? Everything was hunky-dory, if you like a half-built hotel and rain every day. To get used to using this great British phrase, hunky-dory, write in the comments how your day's been so far. Has it been hunky-dory, or has it not been hunky-dory? I'd just like to thank you for watching the channel, and if you click this link, you'll see another great English language lesson. I'll see you next time.